Well, Martin, it is such a privilege to have you on the podcast. I'm just
likewise.
Honestly,
yeah.
If 14-year-old Levi right now could he would just punch me in the face. He'd be like, "You are not having a conversation with Martin Smith." I just can't believe it.
Oh, you're crazy. And I've seen a few of your podcasts, so this is a treat to be here with you and doing this. This is amazing.
Oh my gosh, it was such a fun thing to get to welcome you to Montana for your first time of your entire life, which is crazy because you've been everywhere.
Yeah.
But Montana now, how do you like it?
I loved it. And we had a good hike, didn't we?
We did.
I was slightly freaked out by the bear thing, but we made it, didn't we?
We never deployed the bear spray. We did not deploy the bear spray.
I know.
But with bear spray, you want to have it and not use it rather than need it and not have it. You know?
So I'm good. But it's been really great to be here, connect with the church, connect with you and Jennie, and we've just loved it. Thank you.
Awesome. I wanted to talk just about music and I think that one thread I want to pull on is what's so fascinating to me is how music came into your life, because it wasn't like it was in your family. It wasn't like your mom and dad were like, "Oh, we just have to get you in lessons." I mean, it's brilliant to me that God saw fit to find you, you know.
Yeah, it's actually one of the great mysteries of my life is on my mother's side, her dad was a London bus mechanic, you know, not into church or music or anything really, you know. And then on my dad's side, his dad was a medical doctor, and all my dad wanted me to do was play cricket for England. All right. I don't, you know, a lot of the guys are going to be listening to this going, "What on earth is even cricket?" But it's like a ball and a bat, and it takes all day, and it's a bit boring. Okay. Yep. So that's all my dad wanted me to do. He's a sports guy. And out of the blue, I start learning the guitar at the age of 12.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Out of the blue. How did it mechanically happen?
I think what happened is that we moved to a new church and there was no youth group. There was like 2 kids, you know, 15 and 16 years old. And my dad randomly said, "Oh, I think we should get them singing, you know, and so why don't you learn the guitar?" So we went out and bought a guitar. So for him, that was really random. So that must have been a God thing. And that's all I then did for the next 2 years was lock myself in my bedroom with a teach yourself how to play guitar.
It was like a book?
Yeah, a little book. And I learned all these different chords. But interestingly though, from the very first, you know, from the get-go, I started hearing melodies, which is unusual. You know, I started learning like a D chord and G, and then like a na 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 na, and then a little melody would come. I think that was a supernatural thing in a way that's not in my family. My dad admits even now he's the opposite of creative and never really understood me or what I was doing. And so it's great, actually. I think, you know, it was God obviously decided to lead me on that path. And I've, you know, that was, I don't know, 45 years ago, maybe.
And when did you start writing songs? I mean, you were already you said vocalizing melodies, but when did you begin to go, "Oh, I'm going to write a song"? Yeah.
So I went through the intense love song for the girls at school phase.
Okay.
Right.
As one does.
Yeah. 12, 13 years old, you know, I love you songs. My life cannot go on unless we're together, you know, at the age of 13. So I wrote a few of those songs. And then, at the age of 19, I got filled with the Holy Spirit, and I had been writing songs up to that point, but a little bit more like band rock and roll songs. And I would sing in pubs and just do rock and roll. So that's what I was doing. Got filled with the Holy Spirit when I was 19. Someone prayed for me. And the next morning I woke up and wrote this little song called "Lord, You Have My Heart."
Oh my goodness.
And it kind of just fell out the sky. And I guess that was the beginning, really. And then someone said to me, "Oh, that sounds like a worship song." And I didn't really have a big reference for it. And the funny thing is, they said, "Oh, but you could never do that in church because it starts on a minor chord," which is funny now, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think of songs like Oceans, and so that was the beginning, and I never looked back, and I kept on writing these prayers. Really, they were just coming out of me, and I didn't think, "Oh, I want to do this on Sunday." It was just the real, so it was just coming out of me.
I remember in youth group when we started singing, I could sing of your love, and to think about that being the first attempt at a worship, you just wrote that song, and you know the wave of the worship that washed over our shore from all the way across the world, and we began to sing Delirious songs in youth group, and the different spirit. It was just a whole different sonic sound and journey, and how much that profoundly changed my life to the present day.
Wow, that's amazing.
You know, I told you of you know, a whole season of my life where I couldn't go to sleep, literally, with the torment and the anxiousness, and our home was in a lot of strife, and I didn't have a lot of peace in home.
Yeah,
there was so much happening with my parents' marriage, and I couldn't go to sleep without putting on "Live in a Can." What a Friend I Found.
Wow,
and
God,
it would just
amazing.
be on repeat, and for hours, just kind of changing the spirit and altering the spirit of the room, and so I mean, as I hear you talk about, just you know, it seemed like happenstance. Your dad, out of the blue, is like, "Oh, you should play the guitar one day," and you know, the cricket plan, he chucks it, and now here you are, and you're just like putting these songs out. And just to think, I mean, I'm sure if someone would have come into your room when you were, you know, fiddling with that guitar and be like, "Hey, just so you know, these are songs that are going to change the world and help people." And I mean, it's crazy to think about that.
I'm glad no one did tell me that, because it would just freak you out, wouldn't it? It would just blow your mind. But it's interesting we're doing this today, because I'm mentioning that song, "I Could Sing Your Love Forever," because a brand new version's just come out today.
Oh, wow.
Which I did a duet with a guy called Josh Baldwin.
Yes.
From an amazing guy. And we basically re-recorded it, you know, with these guys called House of Worship. It was in Nashville. And so that's just come out today. And I never ever felt there was a really good recorded version of it, you know, because the original one was, I don't know, 1992, and it was just a demo. I mean, they sound awful, but so that's good to have that out. But
so I Could Sing of Your Love Forever, Martin Smith, Josh Baldwin, that people can go listen to that.
Yeah, that wasn't a plug, by the way.
No,
it's just,
well, you know, it is for me. I'm plugging it. I'm saying, go get that song.
The timing's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, "Lord, You Have My Heart," you said, was that first one.
Yeah.
I mean, "And I Will Search for Yours." I mean, just immediately that comes back, and
yeah.
Wow.
I was 19.
Wow.
And I truly did have a radical encounter with the Holy Spirit, with the Lord, really. I was brought up in a more conservative, it's called the Brethren Church, and, you know, the lady on the organ, and, you know, I loved it, but it wasn't the sort of place you could invite your friends from school to. And so that was in my bones. A lot of emphasis on the Word of God, never really talked about the Holy Spirit. And so it was just this whole discovery for me, and suddenly scales fell off my eyes. I really, truly met the Lord, radically saved. And that, you know, then my life just sort of opened up, and that's what God can do, isn't it? Yeah.
People talk about the British invasion, you know, Rolling Stones and Beatles coming to America, but I mean, this, you and your music, Delirious, all of that there was a very powerful British invasion of church music, of these God songs that kind of swept across the world in a way that no one really could have predicted.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I remember sitting with some of the record label guys in Nashville. This would have been way back, like 1996, 97, something like that. And them saying, look, we like this music. We think there's something about it, but just so you know, radio will never play worship music. You know, and this was the era of DC Talk Newsboys and all those. Amazing. You know, and we were hanging out with these guys and they're fantastic. But yeah, radio will never play your music.
Wow.
And isn't that amazing that now, you know, Christian radio is just saturated with congregational worship music, you know, more vertical stuff, you know, all about the Lord. I think that's quite a miracle, really.
And Air One is completely worship music. It's all it is. I mean, it's incredible.
And now we need a new move creatively.
Yeah,
of kids coming through saying, "Well, I do want to honor the Lord. I want this to be unto the Lord, but I want to tear the script up again musically."
Yeah, it does seem like there's like a disruption that happens.
Yeah, we need that again.
Yeah, true. Okay. Talk about the car accident, and that was like a moment for you, another kind of Ebenezer moment of like declaring, you know, your life like kind of set apart for God and whatever He had called you to.
Yeah, I was 25. Anna and I had been married a year, and we were driving through the night to see Anna's sister's baby that had just been born. And these are the crazy days when you're young enough you're a bit stupid, aren't you? You know, and you think, oh yeah, we'll just drive through the night.
It's a perfectly good plan.
4 or 5 hours, we'll be fine. Well, you don't even think about it, do you? And one road away from home, I just relaxed and fell asleep at the wheel. Crashed into a wall. The car was a wreck. It was like up here somewhere. Instantly I thought, oh no, like I'm never going to walk again. You know, I didn't really know. But so yeah, that was a bit scary. I did break my leg. I was in hospital for a couple of weeks, and I could have died. You know, now I look back, it was a miracle that I got out of there alive. Mm. And but the catalyst for that is that we were already running a youth event called Cutting Edge in our church every month on a Sunday night. About 1,000 kids were coming at this time, which is big for England. You know, that's
big anywhere. Yeah,
a lot of kids coming from other churches. It was like, you know, really multi-denominational, and it was all about the presence of the Lord. So that was our agenda. And I got the guys, as they would visit me in hospital, I was like, do you know what? Do you think that we should like go for this, like full time? We all had jobs. I was a sound engineer producing stuff. One of them was a designer. One was an electrician. One ran a studio. It's like, guys, what if we gave it all up and like just went for it? And 6 months later, we all showed up one day and we're like, I guess this is what we're doing now. And we decided, look, why don't we try it for a year? Let's see if we can make a go of this. So 5 families, there were probably, 12 children at the time. And we went for it. And 17 years later,
crazy.
You know, we were
sold out arena performances around the world later. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that, yeah, it's amazing. I forget all that, but it was amazing journey, and God blessed it, really blessed it, you know, beyond our wildest dreams. And also what was quite significant is that we were English. We lived in England. Yeah. We never moved to America. We were doing lots of countries around the world. And so it was a global thing, really.
Oh, it was indeed a global thing, yeah.
And so we just went for it, and it was great.
I think I marvel at the thought that this car accident and the near-death experience kind of catalyzed for you. Yeah. Almost like it's now or never. I could have died. This was in me. I need to do this.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like, I've got a second chance. And, you know, we'd been married a year, and we were just like, come on, let's go for that. What are we going to lose?
Yeah. And the band was called Cutting Edge at first?
Yes. Well, we were the music group for Cutting Edge.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think we really had a name really. And we were making these cassette tapes, of all these songs, selling them for £5. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And, then 3 months later, we just record another cassette tape of all the new songs. And that's how the music got out. And then we didn't know, but there were some people from America that would visit the events and buy a cassette tape, take it back to America. And they'd be the only one in California with this cassette tape. And then and that's how it spread. It was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I think I was in my friend's Volvo when he first was playing some of your stuff, and it was like, what? Because it just didn't exist. I mean,
yeah.
There was that explosion of like Maranatha music, that Jesus music out of the 70s, and that really changed things. And I feel like you took it, and it was almost like, and this is such I know you probably as an artist would hate this, but like, it was almost like you two giving church music. You know what I mean? It was just such a different expression.
Yeah.
I'd never heard anything quite like it.
Yeah. It's hard to articulate how things happen, but I think one of the helpful things that made it special is that we didn't know the rules. And that's really important for creative people. I think it's harder now for the average 16-year-old that's in the church scene. They're growing up in church. They're seeing people lead worship, the style of it, and then almost sort of subconsciously, oh, well, that's how you do it. That is what God likes, or that's what our church likes. So if I'm going to progress in that system, I've just got to copy the 25-year-old guy. So, and some of that's not wrong. That obviously there's some discipleship that happens there, some heart stuff. A lot of that is really amazing. But on the style side, you really want them to come with something fresh. And I think because we didn't live in America, we didn't know the rules. We were just thinking, we want to make a record as good as Radiohead or U2. We weren't thinking, oh yeah, we should try and be on K-Love.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you weren't thinking CCM. This needs to be a smash hit. Yeah,
and all due respect to that, but that was not our. We were like, we want to play Glastonbury. We want to play the mainstream festivals. We want to play outside of the church. So what we do has to sound great. And so maybe there was a little bit of that in there, that we were sort of unfettered. We were wild, and wild in the sense of holy wild. We didn't have those religious constraints.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I think, but you also, because it was birthed out of the context of youth ministry.
Yeah.
You also were creating songs that could be sung congregationally.
Absolutely.
Which is so unique.
Yeah. We were church kids.
Yeah.
And still to this day, if you cut me in half, I'm a church kid, and I believe in the local church 200%. It's saved my life, saved my marriage. I see how my kids have flourished in local church community. It's the great savior of the creative, because we can go mad over songs and our creativity. That 1 minute you think what you do is amazing, another is terrible. So you need community to keep you, sane. And I really mean that. So I've always been committed to that. And again, that event was a local church expression. It's just happened that the music was pretty wild and crazy.
And it was a new sound, and and it caught fire in a way that, I mean, from what I understand, even at one point, like hymns that were put into almost bar melodies, it was the music, there was a secular sound that was in the world, and so to reclaim that almost in a new way. So like you're talking about Radiohead, and obviously you were creating art that would eventually have you opening for Bon Jovi, for crying out loud. I mean, but tethered to, these are songs that Jesus people in a gathering can sing to exalt him.
Yeah, because there was a purity there of spirit, of, even like friend forever, Jesus, friend forever. I mean, it's such a pure, childlike expression that there were the two things. There was the wild rock and roll thing wrapped around the very childlike sort of love for Jesus, and maybe that was what resonated with people. But I mean, I remember the first time we ever did You Feel the Mountains Tremble? Such an unusual song. It went on for like 50 minutes. It was just like wave and wave of the Spirit hitting people. And there'd never been that line before.
People didn't know we could dance upon injustice.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't know that.
Or even to have a congregational, what we would call a worship song, the chorus with the line, open up the doors and let the music play. It was more a sort of like activist mission statement than a sort of a prayer to him. And of course, then I didn't know the rules. If I was in a writing session now in Nashville, that would be the first line that would go. Because it's like, no, this needs to go up. But I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. And that song is an example of maybe a few of those songs from that era that were beyond my own understanding, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but think about how many of the Psalms wouldn't make it through a writer session in Nashville. You know what I mean? Like, David says wild stuff all the time. And I think I love it because, like, not only were you not setting out to win at some game, you were actually told this will never work, and you weren't trying for it. You were just doing what was pure in your heart and what you saw in Scripture. And
and I remember I was at this event. This older guy picked me out and prophesied over me. You know, it was like a public prophecy. And he said, "I see you singing over people across the generations and across the nations." He says, "And when you sing, the mountains are going to tremble."
Stop.
And so that isn't my line. Like, it came
prophetically to you.
Yeah. And I was right, I'm going to write that down. And that's the next song.
Wow.
You know, did you feel the mountains tremble? So yeah, it's sometimes I look back and I think, I live in amazement at sometimes God breathes or wants to say something through people. And I think those lyrics were beyond me and my age and my understanding, but somehow, you know, even the Jubilee, I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
The year of Jubilee.
Beyond the words themselves, I know you believe, and I've been on the receiving end, there's power deeper than we know, maybe, to the music itself.
Yeah.
The musicality and the way the Holy Spirit uses that. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I am a musician. I mean that in the right way. I'm a music nerd. I believe in the power of music. I think of the 1 Samuel story when the shepherd boy David played to the king. I mean, on so many levels, that's such an amazing story because, you know, how does a little kid with a harp end up in the palace playing before the king? That would be the equivalent of, you know, I don't know, one of us guys in our worship scene playing before the president of America and there being a deliverance of some sort, or the prime minister of the UK. And so I believe in that a lot. I believe in the power of music. It's a healing force. Mm-hmm. It's a force of healing and deliverance in people's lives. Unfortunately, sometimes now we can sort of reduce it to like a pop thing where, you know, like just like, you know, let's just get everyone jumping. And I love all that, but you know,
you want to get us on God's great dance floor. We know that.
But when the shepherd boy played, it says, you know, he just played his harp. There was no lyrics. That we'll never know the melody. There was no crafted words on the screen. He just played his harp. And that was the thing that broke the heavy yoke. So people will, you know, you'll notice that when I'm leading more and more, I'm leaving more space now. It's not because I've forgotten what song to do next. It's because I really believe that space is important, that people need pauses. They need time to reflect. That's when God moves on our hearts, is in the space often, not when we're exhaling and singing, although that is amazing. The exaltation to God, saying how great is our God, is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing better than that. But in terms of the ministry of the Holy Spirit and healing and deliverance, that all happens a lot of that happens in the quieter moments, the space.
I mean, we see that now, Jesus Image, Upper Room, Mavericks, some of these longer tracks. But I mean, 1994 and 6, you were releasing spontaneous 9-minute tracks in between tracks and like really pioneering these and pioneering. I mean, you just admitted David did it. I mean, so it's not
nothing
really
new.
Nothing new.
Yeah.
But that must have felt bold and risky. I imagine there were some times when like, you want to release this is a 9-minute track with nothing in it. It's just a responsive guitar playing, Yeah,
I think the thing to remember is we didn't wake up one morning and go, great, we're going to start doing 9-minute versions of instrumental tracks. This was a genuine reflection of what we were doing live. That's what God was doing in the United Kingdom with young people. We were meeting together. It was a mixture of prayer, people running around the room, dancing, miracles, healing, salvation, people getting saved. It was, we saw a girl get out of a wheelchair one night, and her dad came to collect her and was just like, why is this chair empty? So the music was just literally a response to that, and we'd get on a groove, and what you're hearing on those records is a 9-minute version of us just, but maybe in the room something else was going on, and we were just like, let's just keep going.
And it's not, it's so amazing. It's the song's powerful and important.
Yeah.
And you have to go through that to get to that space.
Yeah.
So we've gone vertical, we've declared, but then you're just sitting in it and you're just waiting, and there's just this space for the Lord to work in the way he wants to work with it.
Yeah. I think you're right. You need both.
Yeah.
You need the structure of a melody and a lyric that is theologically correct, that inspires, lifts people's heads. It's like they're the Psalms, aren't they? I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from him. So, yeah, you need those lyrics I need to remind myself and the people that God is God.
Yeah.
And that is, he's immovable. And then you have the prophetic moments that live around that, that could just literally exist in the present, just for that moment.
I mean, you find in the Psalms even like, hey, make sure the choir master does this.
Yeah.
Make sure that there's a Selah. Make sure there's a Shigi enough. Make sure we get to the Mahalath, and it's like, we don't quite understand all of what those instructions were, but that probably is where a lot of the real, now, to use it in a C.S. Lewis way, the magic happened.
Yeah.
In some of the bring me a harpist, I can't prophesy without it, kind of a thing. Like,
exactly.
I heard Tim Keller say that according to Job, the morning stars sang for joy while God was creating the world. And he said, that's why music tugs at our hearts in such a profound way, because it's hardwired and baked into like our memory.
Amazing. Yeah. And there are some theologians that suggest, because no one really knows, but they suggest that when God breathed the initial sort of commandments, let there be light, let there be water, let there be moonness, that there would have been a melody with those commandments. And some would say that he would have sung them.
He sang them, yeah.
Which is, I mean, that, like you say, there's a tug there. There's a connection between when we sing to God, why that's so powerful. Wow.
And it has an ability to soothe, like you said, to stir up.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that God inhabits, like that sitting in that. And I mean, to be on the receiving end of that, I mean, the way you're still innovating, the way you're still wanting to experiment, the way you're still tinkering, because you're still leading worship in your local church, excited.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking last night, like how much you were like frothing over, talking about like how you love seeing what God's doing, still leading youth, still seeing all those things happening.
Yeah, I mean, what a privilege. You know, I'm 55 now, and I'm in a church where it's full of young people, full of Gen Zers. I mean, it's just my dream come true to be able just to be in the room with those people, let alone still be, you know, part of songwriting that helps people express that. And yeah, it's a miracle to me, and I don't take it for granted. I live in more wonder now than ever, so it's great.
Can we talk about the flags?
Yeah, come on.
I want to know. I heard it secondhand from Karen Cody on this podcast, because they brought a flag out in an event, and I asked about it, and they said, first of all, let me say, I was on the receiving end of the impact of that flag going up, and so I asked them about it, and they said it came from you, and that you entrusted it to them. And when I asked Cody, like, if he knows, like, I just said, tell me, and here's what he said. He said, well, I asked Martin once, why flags? And he said, you told him, because the devil hates flags. And that was it. He said, that's all you said. Well, the devil hates flags. And I just, it's powerful. I mean, you raised a flag last night.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not like, oh, this is the new thing. This is what everyone's now got to do. It's not like that sort of thing. But I was in Romania, which is the east part of Europe, very poor, at this worship conference. Beautiful people. That, you know, they don't have much. There aren't many Nike trainers around. And there was this African lady waving these 2 gold flags, and I hadn't seen it in a long time, because last 2 decades we'd been through that sort of seeker-sensitive / branded church.
It's been more hazers than flags.
More hazers, ripped jeans.
Yeah.
You know, let's put the flags away. Let's not dance together. That wouldn't be cool. And I look back on those last 2 decades with a little bit of sadness now, because I think, yes, it was really cool and everything, and it advanced a lot of things, but somewhere along the line, maybe we lost the essence of being abandoned unto him in our worship. You know, that King David running down the street.
Undignified, as I've heard it said.
Yes. Yeah. And Brooke's got a new...
Yeah.
Which is
it's a great version.
Yeah.
Man, Brooke Lidgertwood has been carrying some of your songs. You guys have been doing some stuff together.
Yeah.
Her Garment of Praise. I mean, you're still bringing such...
it's crazy.
Can I say it? Can I say it? You're bringing such weird, important songs to the church?
I mean, only Brooke and I think, could have written that song, Garment of Praise, because it does this. It's this nice church song, 6/8, you know, and then suddenly, why is it in 4/4 and sounding like a Mumford & Sons punk song?
Yeah.
And Brooke's just like, come on, let's do it.
Yeah, just raging.
I love Brooke. We could do a whole podcast about Brooke, couldn't we?
We could do a whole conversation about Brooke.
And that would be more interesting than this one.
No.
But where were we anyway?
Flags.
Flags, that's right.
In Romania.
So anyway, I get this lady to come on the stage, and I said, look, I don't really know what I'm doing now, but why don't we just have a moment where we allow this lady to wave these flags? Let's just see what the Lord wants to do. It was very profound. And I know people talk a lot about, use this phrase, heaven opened, you know, but
in spaces.
But it felt incredibly powerful moment. And I heard like an audible voice almost saying, hey, you know, the devil hates flags, don't you? And I was like, oh, wow, like, really? And it was like, yeah, because when the people of God start waving flags, he knows that the people of God are coming. He says they're coming. So that for me is the reason behind it. It's like, we're coming.
I mean, you raised a banner.
Yeah. banner
you
of
raise
praise.
a standard.
We're into battle now.
What army doesn't have a flag to charge to?
This is moving from arms in the air, to I love you, I love you, I love you, to we're coming.
Wow.
We're raising a standard. We're going into battle. And of course, then what comes out of that is social change, right? It's not just about a worship service. This is about people being filled with that spirit of, right, come on. We live in society. Every area of our society needs reformation, education, health, the police force, our lives, whatever it is, God is interested in those things. So the flag is like, come on, church, let's go.
Yeah.
So, it's a wooden pole with a bit of material on it, and let's get too super spiritual about it. But for me, it's they're like becoming like songs.
Yeah.
So like, I might do this song now, or I might pick up that flag and it's got the name of Jesus on it,
or holiness, or joy,
holy, and that is saying to the people and the room, don't ever forget, like, this is about him.
It's a pendant. I mean, I love that.
And interestingly, it's not so weird in culture, is it? Because I will go to a sports game.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, or an F1 race. There's flags everywhere.
Yeah,
so it's not like it's a weird concept.
We would not look down on someone for painting their face and going to a football game, or taking their shirt off and they've got the team on on their chest.
Yeah. But I just think church goes through cycles.
Yeah.
And we sort of, it was the days of the old granny with the gold flag.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, we're not going to do that anymore. That feels old.
Yeah.
But what we always do in church is we make the mistake of thinking that something's old stylistically, but then we remove the essence of the actual thing. So we should never have kicked flags out, but we can change the way, like we've done with music, We now have drums, electric guitars, bass. 40 years ago, it was the church organ. The Spirit of God still came.
Yeah.
And in 30 years' time, it'll be kids on decks and making beats and
what God's doing through Forrest Frank, or, just a whole new thing.
So don't ever throw out the essence, but the style is always going to change.
Wow. Thank you. I wanted to talk about, I there's a million things I want to talk about, but the conversation we had in Nashville that ended up in my book, walking away from Delirious, because obviously what God did, it moved, and at the height of it all, at the peak of it all, you walked away. You moved into a new season.
Yeah. And
you traded now the roar of arenas for the whisper and it's just, there's been a new season, and you're walking in that, and there's struggle in that transition. And
look, I don't want to sort of appear sort of more spiritual than it actually really was, but there were some genuine moments where I felt like I've got to be sharp here and do the right thing and be obedient. And, 17 years is a long time to be in a team. It was amazing. And even now I look back with such fondness on it all. But the price for all of us was our children. And we were traveling a lot. These things get up and running, and then it's like every day you could be somewhere.
And you kind of have to, because it becomes such a business. And if you don't tour, there's all these people that aren't getting paid, and right?
Yeah, there are 5 families involved. And by then I think we were up to like 16 children or something between us. So yes, there's the business side of it, which you have to maintain and keep going. And that's not wrong, by the way. It's just part of what you're doing. So, but I remember my son, Noah, I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning by name, but I think he was 10 at the time. He was 10 years old, and he'd grown up with me, sort of coming and going, being away a lot. And I remember one day just leaving the house with my suitcase and him looking up at me with these big eyes, and he couldn't really communicate at that age, like, hey, Dad, I'm done. It wasn't that. It wasn't like, I think that you should come off the road. It was just a look of, why are you going again? And I think in that moment, I just decided I'm done. And that was enough for me. And I'd seen so much damage in our world with children and ministry, and I just thought, I don't want to do that. So, yeah, it sounds like, we went away for 6 months and prayed and fasted, but I think within about 30 seconds, I rang my wife and said, I think we're done.
Did she say, like,
yeah, she's
finally?
Like, she's like, yeah. She's like, okay, great. Okay. And, it felt like at the time we're throwing it all in the sea. And you don't do that when something is at its peak. You don't really do that. But we had a lot of peace about that. It was a painful time.
Yeah, you described the day you told the band, which the drummer had already left, right?
Yeah.
So, but you said that's the most painful day of your life. I've heard you say.
Yeah, it was. It was, because these were all my brothers whom I dearly loved. We loved each other. So that was a difficult conversation to say, I think that it's time to bring this to an end.
There was no Yoko to blame it on. You didn't.
Yeah.
you didn't have that. It was just we're leaving.
I know. Yeah, and almost as amazingly as it was birthed, amazingly it came to an end.
Wow.
And the beginning and the end were supernatural. But I can't just say, oh yeah, it was easy. I think ending something that is successful with people that you love is never going to be easy. And there was a 2-year period where it wasn't easy. And that's fine. It's just life. We were all trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do next? This is all we've done for some of us.
We built something so successful and powerful and all the things. And
yeah. And so anyway, that's what happened. And, it brought about a lot of change for us as a family. And the only thing I can say, and again, this is not a well done me thing, it's more the grace of God, is that I think I caught it at the right time for my kids. And it's the grace of God. They're all my friends, all 6 of them. And they all want to hang out. They're in our lives. I thank God for that every day. Now the price for me was, my flesh was, I'd quite like to play in an arena. I don't want to just go back to leading worship for 50 people, and no one knowing who I am anymore. So that's the flesh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is the very real, almost a decade I went through of being in the shadows, trying to write songs that no one wanted to sing, and just feeling disconnected from it all, and being in the UK, just trying to rebuild, and then seeing a lot of people behind me flourishing and growing, and which was amazing. I mean, that gave me the most joy. But still, there's a bit in you. It's just like, am I done?
And the honesty about that, I think, is so important.
Yeah.
Just to face up to that. There's still an ego. There's still adrenaline.
Yeah.
There's still, like you said, the rush and the excitement and the euphoria.
Yeah.
And just because God clearly called you to walk away doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Yeah. And making the transition between going out into an arena or something like, let's say, and everyone knowing the songs, everyone knowing every word, every line, and then transitioning into an era where, well, none of you know any of these songs, So I would not, I'd not redo anything though. That decade for me was so good for me, and it was good for my soul, good for my ego, humbled me a lot, and I really had to learn about what was going on in my own heart, and I felt like I grew a lot in that season, and then grew as a dad as well, and a husband. I'd sort of been doing this band thing for so long, and then all of a sudden, right, okay, these are things I want to focus on now, and local church stuff as well. It was an amazing decade. It was just in the shadows, and that's fine. Like, I mean, that's biblical, right?
And how do you? I mean, for someone who experienced lightning in the bottle at the beginning, to think about, like, there's a human side to, maybe there will never be anything bigger than what was behind me.
Yeah.
Maybe there will. Maybe tomorrow you'll write a song that'll be bigger than any of that. But
yeah.
But there's a human side that goes, oh, I've peaked early, and so, like, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
That's not right. That's not biblical. Our glory days are never us. But,
and we'd be embarrassed to admit that, right?
Yeah.
But that is the truth. Is that you're asking the Lord, well, yeah, is that it then? But very quickly though, God gives you new vision for things very quickly. And, I was happy to sort of invest into other things that were going on, even in our church, younger people writing songs and music projects. I just loved that.
Yeah.
And our house was full of all these teenagers writing songs. And Anna and I we were just making the food, we were just creating an environment where all this new music could come out. And yes, I was helping writing and producing, but that was a beautiful season as well, as beautiful, just different.
Yes. And I think it's so important to recalibrate it's like almost like adding a new column to a scoreboard that's not just size, success, but significance, and truly valuing that. Because I mean, Jesus did the miracle of the feeding of the 4,000 after the 5,000. So something doesn't have to be up and to the right forever, bigger to be better.
You failed, Jesus.
Come on, it was 7,000.
Well, yeah, we're supposed to hit our target.
Come on. So, but that, I think he intentionally did that, like, to remind us.
Of that, yeah.
It was what was needed. 4,000 was needed, so it doesn't need to be bigger than 5,000.
Yeah. And this is what's difficult about the modern way that we release music now, is that the data is so public.
Yeah.
So back in the day, people would know that you were doing well, I guess. But, no one knew how many CDs you were selling.
Spotify's got that number right there. This is how many plays it was.
It's a little bit like everybody's paycheck is now public.
Wow.
It's a little bit like that, isn't it?
It's not even a little bit like that. Yeah. It's just like that. YouTube views, Instagram followers.
So you're, right. So you put a new song out and, right, I only had 1,000 streams. Okay, right. Yeah, okay. Or it had 10,000 or 1 million. Oh, I only had 1 million because, like this guy's doing 23 million or 480 billion or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that is hard for younger artists and musicians coming through. I know I talk to my kids about that all the time. How do they do this? And it's all very well for older people that have made it already to start saying, oh, we don't need Instagram, we don't need Spotify, we don't need this, this all impure. There may be something about what they're saying which is right, but also how does a 16-year-old kid release music? How are we going to help them do that? And it be pure?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's another whole sermon.
And it's fine for you to say, having done it already too.
Yeah, you're
you
the other
shouldn't
side.
care about that. Yeah.
Yeah. But we got to look after that generation and make sure they come through in one piece, making great, cutting edge, new, fresh music, but also somehow helping fund it. Because I mean, how are they going to earn any money? Mm-hmm. It's so difficult,
and that's true across industries.
Yeah.
It's true in laws, and the application, I think, for all of us is like, we are all on a journey towards death. At some point, we have to transition seasonally. What life looks like in midlife, what looks like in empty nest years, like having a roadmap for all the seasons of life, not just for being at your prime, being, the peak of life. And so I think it's just, some of this struggle is necessary ultimately for all of us in finding a comfort with the season of life we're in, right?
So true, yeah. And I think the thing I'm realizing is there are things that I can't do now that I could do then, but there are a lot of things that I can do now which I wasn't able to do then. So there are lyrics that I can write now that I wouldn't have had the same weight when I was 25. There's a new version of Our God Reigns. In it, there's a verse about find us on our knees, help us, if you please. God can save a nation. I think as someone in their 50s now, for me to sing that has more weight now than if I'd have sung that when I was 22. Because now I really feel that profoundly. And I want that for my children. I want that for the next generations. I wouldn't have had that perspective before. So I think it's just being peaceful in that and content, isn't it? In knowing, look, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like you say, commercially, what I do may have a downwards slide, or you just never know. Like,
you could feed the 20,000 tomorrow or the 4,000. Who knows? Yeah.
Who knows that bit of it? But I'm not worried anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not worried anymore. I'm enjoying the dad bit of what I get to do, as younger artists.
And you entered your grandparent era.
Yes, I know.
What do your grandkids call you?
Pops.
I
know. And it kills me every time they say it.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. Maccabee and Wilson, their names are.
And you have a third on the way.
Third on the way, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, like, you when you began talking about how much you love being a grandpa at dinner, Jennie and I both were like just, it gave us such a, just talk just a little bit about how much joy you have over your grandkids versus your kids. Not that you don't love your kids.
Well,
it's clear you love your kids.
Your own children, it's like, it's a life of conflict and joy, isn't it? It's like one moment, oh, you're amazing. Next minute you want to kill them, don't you? Because like, why are you doing that? Just like, come on. So that's your own children. And of course, they're your own, they're your joy. But they're not always going to do what you want them to do. And they've got their own lives and they go and do things, and that's brilliant. You learn to celebrate that. But with the grandkids, they're sort of literally perfect and they can do no wrong. I cleaned my car the other day, and I like my car being immaculate. It's like an OCD thing. And, and one of the grandkids was in the back. They were hungry, so they had a slice of pizza. And the next minute I know, they're eating it and they're throwing it around, getting their hands on the windows. And if that was one of my kids, I'd be stopping the car going, right, out. Like, you're not doing that in my...
Oh, yeah.
Get out. But it was sweet grandkid. I was like, I was saying to her, look, babe, look. Oh, look, they're throwing the pizza. Isn't this amazing? This is wonderful. Oh, isn't this great that they've got... Oh, I just love this. Look at the season we're in. They're throwing pizza around.
Yeah.
And so... that's the one difference.
That's powerful.
That's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've broken through the clean car obsession.
Yeah.
But they're a delight. And I would imagine, it doesn't take a prophet to imagine that we're probably going to have quite a few with 6 kids.
Yeah.
So it's great. We're very, very blessed in that respect.
Yeah. Well, you mean a lot to me. You meant a lot to me from a distance. You mean even more to me up close. You've been singing Our God Reigns for very, very many years. But I love now the thought that you're revisiting it with a new gravitas, and God is going to continue to use you in incredible ways, I know. But it's very encouraging to me to watch your journey, to watch God work through you in the way that he has. And I'm just so thankful for you, Martin.
Well, likewise. And, we've watched your life as well, and the pain and the struggle, and the joy all mixed into one. And that is life, isn't it? And it's really helpful to talk about all those aspects. And even for me today, talking about some of the pain of that, the ending of a season, we don't really read those Christian books, do we? So that's what I admire about you as well. You've gone there, you've recognized that life is full of all these different emotions, and that doesn't make us less Christian or less, able to be a pastor, or less this, or I think it actually gives you more weight. And so, cheering you on from where we live in the UK for sure.
Likewise. Well, thanks again. And I know that everyone listening has been encouraged and been given a lot to think on, and want to encourage everyone to go get the new version of I Could Sing of Your Love Forever.
Yeah.
That's out
it's
now with Josh.
£5 from a local Christian bookstore. Yeah, go down there. Go and get that.
With Josh Baldwin. And then you got obviously Martin Smith is your solo worship stuff on all the platforms.
Yeah.
Anything else new out? Tours out? Anything else?
No, I think that's about it. But I'm just loving writing new songs and co-writing with different people. So I'm loving the season I'm in, yeah, for sure.
But you have your newest full album out, which is Joy.
Yeah.
That people can get right now.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's just exquisite. So.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Martin, and we love you.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to swing by levilusko.com and jennielusko.com to see what's going on in our world.
And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And in the meantime, we would love to connect with you on social media.
Jennie and Levi Lusko, out.
Access more